Very well, thank you. It's pretty cold out here. The temperature's touching 1 or 2 degrees. So
In
don't mind
Dehradun.
if you see me wearing a lot of sweaters and sitting here.
In Dehradun.
Yes.
Okay. So yes, I visited a few weeks back, and I can just imagine how cold it is there. Thank you for joining us. And now let me introduce you formally to our participants. So Lieutenant Colonel Rohit Mishra, sir, is the founder director of Mission Fight Back. Sir has served for 22 years in the Indian Army before he decided to take premature retirement and move to the civil life. Sir has served the elite Kumaon Regiment and a specialized scout battalion. He won gallantry commendations during his numerous tenures in Jammu and Kashmir. He was selected to be part of the United Nations peacekeeping force in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where he authored a book. An alumnus of Delhi University and the Officers Training Academy, Lieutenant Colonel Sir has been known for his out of the box thinking and innovative solutions. He became a Minister of State in Uttarakhand after retirement. Later, he founded Mission Fight Back in 2017 with his friends who shared a similar passion like him to make a difference in the society. He has been a senior consultant with a media lab and a senior vice president with an online education platform. He's a TEDx speaker, and is currently working on his second book based on his experiences of working with children. Friends, his Mission Fight Back program is so fascinating. I first came across few of the videos of his work and was really hooked on to the ideology and to the amount of effort and the thought process that goes into it. So let me tell you in brief about it. So this Mission Fight Back program follows a holistic approach combining psychological awareness with physical training that equips young girls with the ability to identify and deal with any form of inappropriate sexual advance against them. Their mission is to make the girl child physically and mentally strong, aware, prepared, and ready for any untoward situation that may occur in everyday life on any given day. Their goal is to create awareness, introduce women to an array of subjects that concern their personal safety, from sexual assaults to potentially abusive partners. The program aims at empowerment so that the participants or the trainees are empowered to predict, identify, and avoid violent situations and individuals who design and orchestrate them. I'm sure this is something which truly makes a difference in the society. In today's talk, we look forward to listening to Lieutenant Colonel Rohit Mishra sir and understand how important it is to make a child street survival smart, how to navigate through sticky situations, how to understand the societal hypocrisy and its resultant effects, and also about psychological well-being of a child. This is a topic that pertains to not just the children, but all the educators and parents. I welcome the entire community of learners here to this platform. And now I formally invite Lieutenant Colonel Rohit Mishra, sir, to take over. Once again, welcome and gratitude to you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for having me over. It's such a pleasure. And frankly, I wrote this to you before. I am actually a little nervous to be in such august gathering of educators. And I was always one of those naughty students in the school. And can't really say I was always the teacher's favorite because I was always standing in front of the principal's office. But
I
that
don't know
it's a
about then, but I'm sure your teachers are so very proud of you now.
yeah, actually that is exactly what they tell me now. So there is hope for the backbenchers. That is what I always say. So having said that, yes, I am a little nervous because this for the first time I'm speaking to so many educators together. And why did I start Mission Fight Back? I've always felt that education is the bane of the society, the character building of a child, right? But my question to everybody sitting here: what good is the education in case if the child has suffered some kind of a psychological problem back at home? And I can cite from numerous incidents that in my four and a half years of training the children that I've gone through, I've always felt that, being an Indian and having a education system which now is getting modern, but during my time onwards, it was always like study, 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 become something, become something, become something. There is nothing known as a psychological problem, right? And I started with backbenchers. Backbenchers are probably, kuch nahi karega zindagi mein, right? Though I've of course seen backbenchers are the ones who always shine in life. That's got nothing to do with the front benchers, but yes, we are the people who take risks. So that probably risk taking, one thing. Second thing, why is it necessary that your child should only study? And what good is the education in case if, like I said, the child has suffered a psychological problem? Now, this psychological problem can start from home. It could be a sexual harassment that has taken place because the child is never going to come and talk to you about it. I started this journey, everybody actually makes their CV look very colorful, and I tried to do the same when I sent it across to you, so I'll not make any bones about it. But the fact of the matter is, why did I start this journey? I mean, I could have been very happy in the army. The moment I came out of the army, I became a minister of state, something that I had never really dreamt about. So the joke goes ki santri ka sa gir gaya, mantri ban gaya after retirement. So that said, there was an incident that happened in my daughter's life, which actually propelled me to start thinking that we can actually put our children to the best of educational institutes, but how safe are they there? When it comes to the boys, you have bullying. When it comes to the girls, there's bullying, the psychological bullying, the cyber bullying, and then there's sexual harassment. Now, if all these things are combined together, and then the pressure that we put the child in, we still want the child to score well. We are still not ready to listen to our own child. We are not ready to accept, that our child probably is going through some problems, and the kind of new age parenting that we are in, it's a hands-off policy where you probably do not even have time to sit with the children and talk to them and listen to the problems that they're facing, or what exactly that, like, when I was growing up, my father was also from the army, so he never really had time. But my mother would always make it a point to sit with me and two of my sisters and ask us what happened throughout the day. Aaj kya pura din? And we would even tell her mundane little things about, funny little things, or my sister would complain, oh, he was standing in front of the principal's office again. And I would have to write out on her and say, no, this is where she was. I caught her behind the library and somewhere like that. Parents had time for children. So we were speaking up. These days, with, the so much of pressure from the work pressure, the distances and everything, where is the time that we are sitting and listening to the children? Okay, we're giving them the best education, we're giving them the best gadgets, we're giving them best of everything. But are we giving them the best of childhood? That is the moot question. And when my daughter suffered this harassment, and me, at the end of the day, I was trained by the army. I had put in about 22 years. I came from a certain background, besides the defense background. Of course, since I'd become a minister of state, which means I did have a little political clout, but though I was a minister of state in Uttarakhand, and this incident happened in Lucknow, which is my original state. So I did have a little bit of, connects. I could walk into a police station and say, I'm Colonel Rohit. So that prefix of colonel helped open gates for me. So I could manage to get a lot of things done. In spite of all this, I've suffered so much of problems, harassment. Neighbors came down and they say, hey, something like this has happened to your girl. Basically, what had happened was there was this senior who had started stalking my daughter when she was all of 12. So he started stalking her. And as a well-informed parent, the best thing for me to do was brush things under the carpet. And since I could afford it at that point of time, the only thing that I did was I shifted her school. So she was studying in one school. The moment I came to know, okay, there is somebody harassing her. So the best thing to do is shut your eye, shift it to another school, not realizing that the other person can also shift to the school. I did not really understand the meaning of stalking at that point of time. I'd only probably seen it in movies. Now, once this happened, the power, this boy started deriving the power from the fact that, oh, this girl has shifted from one school to the other. His father, I mean, her father never came and objected or caught me by the collar. His power grew with my actions. It was actually a weak action of changing the school. His power grew with each day my daughter's suffering. Every time she would keep quiet, he was wondering why not been taken to the principal's office. Why hasn't any teacher come and confronted me? Then why hasn't anybody done anything to me? And first 1 month he became powerful. Second month, so by the time my daughter could finally come and tell me, was the time when he took out a knife and he tried to tattoo his name on her hand. And this, believe you me, is happening in a very good school, not any other school. So these are the school where you expect the children to be forthcoming with their thoughts.
And so this boy was a teenager?
Unfortunately, on papers he was, but on officially he was not. And most of these teenage boys who do this, they know one thing for sure, that they can get away with the Juvenile Act. So I did manage to send this boy to the juvenile not once but twice. To cut the long story short, me as a father, I felt helpless because the police themselves told me, do not get involved in any of these. There would be newspapers, and yes, my name did come out in the. I mean, the entire story did come out in the newspaper. But as a father, I had to do what I had to do. I had to tell somebody that you're best along with the wrong father. A father, what good is my training of 22 years in the army when I can, beat my chest and thump it out loud and go around telling the world, oh, that I fought on the ALC, I fought a war, I've been doing counter-terrorist operations, but I cannot save my own daughter back at home. If that be the case, that is how the whole idea of Mission Fight Back actually started emanating. Of course, the idea of Mission Fight Back as an idea was mooted by my daughter Vedika a long time back. But that time it was just because everybody, every child was watching Nirbhaya in 2012. And, there was discussions being generated in living rooms about women's safety and things like that. So yes, the idea come from there. But especially after this became the epochal moment for me to start thinking, if me as a trained soldier, as a person with a certain kind of connect and everything, if I am rendered helpless, because all the investigation and everything was done by me. Finally, catching this boy and bringing him to the police station was done by me. So if I can face problem, what about the regular fathers? When I say regular fathers, men who are not trained, men who would just like to, get up in the morning, go to the office, come back, sit at home, and probably be happy in the fact that there are children, his children are around and then they're safe. Somebody had to do something. If you ask my daughter today that, when she got slapped by this boy, had I trained her, do you think things would have been different? She said, Dad, I would have broken his arm. And that is the time when we decided, me and of course my friend Raj, we decided to come up with this concept of Mission Fight Back. We said, let's make it a mission to go to schools, go to colleges, and train these girls, because fighting is not difficult. And fighting doesn't start from here. The biceps are just here. The fighting starts here. It's all in your mind. Otherwise, probably we should never think of taking over China. We should be happy just bashing up Pakistan every few years. But you have to take on the might of the person who's stronger than you. So I sat down with a lot of friends. We did a lot of brainstorming. And in the brainstorming, a few things came out. The moment I say physical activity, the first thing, your own child is going to say, I'm not going to do it. It's like you pay a lot of fees to the gym. The child goes to the gym just a couple of days and then they say, no, I'm not getting off the bed. So first thing that had to be brought out is street survival is not self-defense. Street survival is that you're smart enough. You could be any body shape, body size, any age, any kind of strength. You just have to be smart enough to get out of a sticky situation. Because believe you me, I mean, having trained more than 12,000 girls, I know that these perpetrators are thinking each day. They think each day. They plan their moves each day. You and me probably sitting here might not really think. We say, oh no, this one of this sexual thing just probably happens just out of the blues. But as educators, we should know that 95% of the time the perpetrator is known to the victim. Now, if I were, let me ask a few questions right now. the educators are sitting here. We are sitting in this new year. What do you think was the total number of rapes per day in our country last year? How many of you would know? Anybody could just, unmute themselves and let me know. I'm just asking the number of rapes in our country on a daily basis. Anybody?
Namaste, sir. We may not get the exact number because some of the numbers which are registered, some of which are unnoticed or unregistered. So total number, it's not possible to exactly quote. I mean,
The number can be quoted, Mr. Gregory. There is a report that comes out every year. That's called the National Crime Record Bureau. This thing, and it's called the NCRB report. And as per 2016, we had 108 rapes each day, right? And these are the reported rapes. Now, NCRB as an organization itself, located in Delhi, will tell you that for every rape that gets reported, 4 to 5 do not get reported. Which basically means that we have nearly 500 rapes happening in the country each day. Now, as a deterrence, nothing was done. We just started a concept called Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Beti Bachao is what nobody thought of. Beti Padhao is where you guys are involved. Somebody had to get involved with Beti Bachao because the government wasn't involved. So the only thing that the government did was they started playing around with the statistics. So if 2016 we had 108 rapes happening, registered rapes happening each day, by the time we came to 19 and 20, it had gone down to 85, with no reason given as to what was the deterrence. In fact, if I'm not wrong, the world over, rapes, molestations, and child abuse has gone up during the COVID period. You would be meeting children from your respective schools. God forbid something happened to them, but I do strongly believe that your school counselors, the teachers, and everybody actually needs to sit down and ask them what happened during these 2 years when they have not actually joined school, when they have been on an online mode. Unfortunately, what happens as educators or as school is we say, oh, we are responsible for them 8:30 or 9:30 onwards when the school gets open, and it's bye-bye after a certain time when the school closes. What happened to them during the blip period? Let it remain a blip. Because for me, it's the marks that the school gets. It's the total average this thing that the school gets. I just need an aggregate percentage of a school to go out. Yes, maybe the child will actually have 95%, 98%, and you'll be surprised to know most of the girls that I have met who have unfortunately suffered some psychological issues or sexual problems are always the better students.
I would also like to bring a point here, sir, if my information is correct. So it's not just the girls, but even the boys who are an equally potent target or equally targeted by perpetrators for sexual harassment.
But you're absolutely right. And this point, of course, I never believed this point earlier. But then we went to the school called Pathways in Gurgaon, and one of them also, they have 2 or 3 principals. So the middle school principal told me, they said, we will allow you in the school only if you agree to train the boys as well. And I said, no, categorically. I said, no, Mission Fightback basically started for girls. And they told me something which now I believe is absolutely right, because we train Sherwood, we train all the boys of Sherwood thereafter. Is that out of 10, in case if there are, out of 10 girls, if 10 girls have gone through some kind of a harassment, at least 3 to 4 girls will come back and tell you, which means 30 to 40% will girls and come and tell the parents or the teachers or the friend or somebody. But when it comes to the boys, take it from me, even if there's one boy who comes in, which is 10%, is not going to happen. And if that boy finally takes some courage to come and tell his parents, his parents will never take him to the police or never confront. A girl's father will still go and confront the perpetrator, maybe, just maybe. But a boy's father, never. So yes, that is the reason why Mission Fightback started training girls from 6 years to 60 years. And boys from 6 years to 14 years. So while we train the girls against sexual harassment, for the boys it was sexual harassment and bullying. And the fact of the matter is, yes, a young boy is more likely to be sexually harassed than a girl. And then, like I said, once we sat down and we started brainstorming, and then our experiences working with children, we realized that there were very small little things that could be done to save. I mean, the fighting comes much later. The fighting comes much later. Number one, speaking up. It's so important to tell the child to learn to speak up. If a parent or a teacher can just teach the child, better, no matter what happens, just learn to speak up. You have a problem, come to me. I when I started going to schools, a lot of principals told me, a lot of directors told me, oh no, we have school counselors. Why would we need Colonel? Why don't you just concentrate on what you're good at, which is teaching them how to fight? Leave the psychological part to us. And I said no, not for any other reason, but again, the experience was that children were more than happy to interact with us, because we are ghosts. We come for 14 days and we vanish. No judgments, no passing of secrets from here to there. Whereas when it came to the school counselors, no matter how good the school, and they do a fantastic job, but you have the inherent problem that says, oh, what if my secrets are told? What if she starts judging me? So in case if me as a child go to my school counselor and tell her something, and then the next day or the 2 days later, if my class teacher is smiling at me, and the first thing that comes, why she's smiling at me? Has my secret been told? No secret were told, but still, you have start getting that guilt feeling. So you will now start cooking up stories. No, ma'am, actually the other day I just came to you, I just said that, I didn't really mean it. Well, that's been sorted out. But when we come in, we do 2 tests. We do a psychometric analysis test for the children, which is subsequently then followed by a small 40-minute written test. So by the end of these 40-minute session, when we come and train in the schools, we have the entire history of the child right in front of us. And then we just stand at the auditorium and say, oh, okay, your school has given us a couple of rooms where we're just sitting and sipping coffee. Why don't you come down and have a chat with us? And again, the first school which I did, and the principal told me, Colonel, nobody's going to come and talk to you. You'd be surprised. Every school that we've done, there've been, children, they stand in line to come and talk to us. Because children inherently want to speak. They just want to speak up. They just want to express themselves. And so we are the people who listen to them. And mind you, on our laptop, we already know there are certain parameters that we are, testing them on. So we know this. So when the child comes and starts telling us the story, we made it so scientific that we know what the child is telling us. Sometimes the children started telling us in third person. They're talking about themselves, but they're actually, talking in third person. So, our team of psychologists, they're fantastic. Unfortunately, Ashima is leaving for Canada, and she was the one who started it all. So she'll be a great loss to Mission Fight Back, but all the best to her. But she is the one who set things in motion. We had incidents where a statement made by parents, was stuck here in the girl's mind or the boy's mind. Irresponsible, we make it as parents, we make a responsible statement because we are probably ourselves under pressure, domestically or professionally, or maybe we've had one drink too many,
Right.
or probably the expectations, ladki versus ladka and things like that. There's so many things. I think we need a psychological counseling more than the children require.
Absolutely. And so we come from the times, if I talk of my time as a teenager, as a schoolgirl, I'm sure none of us, by us, I mean my peers, would feel comfortable in sharing with our parents that there are some boys at the corner of the street who would, make some gestures, or who would say words which are actually not appropriate. But none of us would have the courage. And I can say this with confidence that every woman, every lady here in this session, I don't know about boys or the males, but I can assure that everyone has faced such a situation, but has not got the courage to speak up about every such incident, each and every incident. And that is where that change is needed, that our children, our students and our own children can speak up to us, and not just to their mothers, but their fathers and everyone in the family, the close ones, the trusted ones, and also the teachers.
I agree, ma'am. In fact, the first book which I wrote was a book which I will not suggest to anything because it's very boring. because it was all about military history. But the second book which I'm writing is, of course, based on my like I said, my experiences with children, wherein I am squarely blaming the parents for most of the psychological issues being faced by the children, and which is a fact. We make irresponsible statements, and then the children become teenagers, and then anything and everything that you say will be held against you, right? So that is where the psychology aspect of it started coming in, and that, like I made a mention about it earlier. Take 2 days off as a school, sit with each child, ask them how this blip period of 2 years went. Did they face any problem? Give them the confidence to start speaking with you, because like I said, 95% of the cases the perpetrator is known to the victim. Now children going and talking to their parents, like Jaya ma'am just mentioned, you can go and talk to the parent. We are the first people who will start judging our own children. What dress were you wearing when that uncle saw you, right? Or when these street boys were there, were you looking at them directly? Why didn't you just look down and start walking? We are teaching our children to become defensive, not realizing that self-defense is something inherent to us. We were born to defend ourselves. Now what has happened? We are the only the inhabitants of the earth who have outsourced their self-defense to somebody else. We call it Raksha Bandhan. भाई आके बचाएगा, मेरा फादर आके बचाएगा, तो जानता नहीं मैं किसका बेटा हो या किसकी बेटी हूँ. Why can't you protect yourself? And protecting is a very, very simple thing. If I could just ask Nishita to play one of the videos, I think the first in the sequence, where I am in this video, you will see that there is this a bunch of girls from a school in Nainital, and I just taught these girls one thing. I'm just telling these girls. Can everybody hear me when the video plays? Okay, I'll speak after the video.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Only one thing which I wanted to share over here, because throughout the session, I meant to say throughout the talk, I was very much engaged with it. One incident which I want to share about my life. To be very frank, I also went through such type of situations very often, and I was the one. I don't know how it happened, but I was able to speak to my parents very clearly. Especially my mother and father, I was able to do, and it was all because they were the one who always have given me the open platform to speak, and it happens how that's what I wanted to tell, that because what happens is my parents, they always share some incidents with me through stories, some real life situations, and that situations, I mean to say, all this real stories and all this has given us a courage to talk about what we are going through. So what I suggest, I guess this should be one thing which we can do with our children, that it's better to share all the real life situations, whatever is happening around you, very openly with a child. Maybe this type of communication can make a child mentally prepared to speak about what a child is going through. That's what I wanted to say, sir.
Very well said, Nisha.
Absolutely, ma'am. I totally agree with you. In case if the parents can teach their girls not to ignore, in case of the parents, and this is exactly what we do when we go to any school, we invite the parents also over, so that they can also train with the children, and we just tell them one thing: start listening to your child. Don't start judging ab initio. Right? So hats off to your parents. I wish everybody had parents like yours who would actually tell these girls. Women empowerment actually starts from your own house. Education of the boys and telling them to respect women starts from the house. The problem is, as parents, we look towards the school. The school says, "Hamari problem nahi hai, parents ki problem hai." But in case the societal change can take place only at your level, and at your level when when there are, I wonder. I mean, like there's so many educators here. I can see 72 people here. How many schools actually take a capsule where we teach the boys to start respecting women? You see, as schools, we are also the culprit. I'll tell you why. There was this school that I was doing in Bangalore, where I had just one day to spare, and they just said, Colonel, can you come and do a session? I said, okay, I'll come and do one session with you guys. They said, no, actually, we have 3 sessions. Can you come and do 3 sessions in a day? And the reason being because, of course, what I can speak to the students from 10th, 11th, 12th, I cannot speak to a 4th, 5th, 6th standard kid. So I said, fine. I said, I'm free throughout the day. I'll be more than happy to come and interact with the children. Now, when initially the primary, kids came 4th, 5th, 6th, it was a lot of halla ulla. Maybe, I was standing on the podium, and all these kids that came and sat in the swanky looking auditorium. They're all laughing, they're all giggling, and they were all intermingling and sitting together. And it was good fun talking to them. Sometimes the boy would say something, sometimes the girl would say something, and somebody was throwing paper at each other. It was nice, fun. Then came the next session, which was probably 7th, 8th, 9th. By this time the 7th, 8th, 9th happened, you could see that there was a certain amount of division taking place. There were more boys sitting together, though there were some certain cluster of girls on the left. On the right hand side, there were more girls and a cluster of boys. And there is a word called hesitation, jhijak. This is the time when, when these young kids were talking about just about anything and everything, there was a certain hesitation which I could see amongst these children. By the time it was the senior section, which is 10th, 11th, 12th, the boys sat on the left and the girls sat on the right. It was like India, Pakistan, right? Who does this division? Why couldn't these boys from 10th, 11th, 12th also intermingle like the children from 4th, 5th, 6th? Suddenly, you saw teachers who are very strict looking teachers, who are keeping in which boy is sitting with which girl is sitting with which boy. This division started taking place. And I asked the principal that, why? So they said, no, intermingling is not too allowed in the senior, this thing. There are certain things, naturally, you cannot stop it. But if you tell them to coexist, just because we have this delineation of India, Pakistan, of course, they'll never be there. And that is the time when the boys start objectifying women, objectifying these girls. At this stage, we tell them, oh, you can sit with her. You have to learn to respect her. When a girl walks into the, look at me. I'm from the Indian Army. I wasn't born respecting women. My soldiers come from the villages, from the rural background, which is absolutely patriarchal, right? How is it that the Indian Army always respects women? Because we're trained. That is the first lecture when you become, when you join the academy. You have to learn the first thing. First thing, how to respect women. Second, table manners. And then the training starts. If you cannot be a gentleman, forget it. You'll never become an officer. So if, they can make a horse out of donkeys like us, I'm sure if things start in the school, and in case if you have small little capsules, intermittently, where, you're teaching the, the boys to mingle with the girls, and to interact with them, there would be so much more difference. Like, I don't mean to start north-south debate, but yeah, initial portion of my life I studied in Chennai, where talking to a girl meant that, you'll be ostracized throughout the day. And then suddenly I shifted to Kashmir and did my final this thing, where I saw the boys and girls were intermingling in such an open manner. I was the only child who was probably not confident to talk to women. And having served in the United Nations and in a very open international environment, Indian men, I found that, we probably did not have the right confidence to talk to women. Because after a few sentences, we were lost. We are probably the only breed of people in the world where when you go to a desk, there are 10 men dancing together. Or when you go to a party, the wives go on the left and the husbands go on the right. Why? Because we've not been taught. That has not been ingrained into our brain. I think I've been saying this thing. But now, enough said about the psychological aspect of it. Now let me start coming to the training aspect of it. And believe you me, fight is in the, when I said it's in the mind, I just wanted to share this video where this girl who's not trained, 2 basic moves taught to her. All I'm telling her is, no matter what happens, do not stop looking in the eye of the perpetrator and see what happens. This is a girl who's not trained. Look at the differences that makes you very confident by just looking in the eye. And now You have to make your heart also strong, and you have to keep moving in the attacker. The attacker should be the one who should be going back. Right? Ready? Stop slapping yourself. Don't lose eye contact. Don't lose eye contact. You're looking down. Don't look down. See. Good. Very good. But don't lose eye contact. Don't lose eye contact. Eye contact. Just by not losing eye contact, look at the way the child's fighting. And this is a girl who's not trained. Try it at home. Let somebody just ask your husband or your son to try to hit you from the right hand or the left hand. As long as you're concentrating on the hand, you will get hit. But the moment you start looking at the perpetrator in the eye, firstly, it's a psychological this thing for him. And the moment you keep looking in the perpetrator's eye, the moment he twitches his hand, if the blow is going to come from the right hand, you know which hand to pick. All you have to do is defend, like what you saw just happen. Now let me, since the second video has already come up, this is a video which I did in the Maharaja Sayaji Rao University. This is in 2019, before the lockdown happened, where I had this boy for demonstration, and this girl is asking me, she says, "Sir, you're 6 foot tall. You've been trained by the army for more than 2 decades. What you're saying sounds so easy." And I'm asking her to come on stage. Nishita, can we just play that?
Sir, you are able to do that because you have a high.
Why don't you come here? Come. You have the right to choose a perpetrator, or can I be the perpetrator? Can I do it?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it okay if I hold you?
Yeah.
Right? I've held you like this. Yeah. How difficult do you think that was? Now, let me play the third video so that we have the videos aside. Nishita, can we have the third video, which is just to show you age doesn't matter. This lady is an IAS officer, 58 years old. Very nice. Okay, that's as far as the videos are concerned. This lady, a 50-year-old IAS officer, we trained the Uttarakhand Vidhan Sabha in February of 2019. I mean, young girls aside, look at a 58-year-old woman fighting. Look at the enthusiasm and of course she improvised. So, like I said, we started something called FIST, which means Fast Intensive Street Survival Training. So we didn't want to teach children any black belt or blue belts and pink belts. We just wanted to give them a 14-day training and say, okay, now you're ready to face at least one perpetrator at one point of time. But before that happens, you have to have a certain bodily confidence. And that bodily confidence was all about the first level. So when we go to a school, what we do is we train the girls for 14 days, 1 hour each day for 14 days during school hours. The first level is all about getting the child to become confident about herself, because you've seen children are different shapes, different sizes. There is so much of awkwardness in them. And then, of course, there's this body shaming which starts with them, and then the peers, and then the parents, of course, also unfortunately take over. So for a girl to suddenly start meeting a bunch of very fit looking trainers and say, "Oh, I just cannot do this." So probably the girls who look fitter will always be right up there and trying to show their moves and things like that. "Oh sir, how did I do it? Did I do it well?" And the rest of them very awkwardly would be standing in the back. So the first level is all about taking out that awkwardness out of them, giving them that bodily confidence that you can do it. And that is the reason, the first video that you saw, the girls very fit. The second and the third, you would think that the girls are not fit, but see the way they fought. Before I could, say Jack Robinson, she had me down in the second video. Right? So this is, like I said, this is all in the mind. The second level is when we teach girls to fight against one single perpetrator. Now, the first level I said is bodily confidence and single perpetrator. The second level is all about single perpetrator, acid attacks, and weapons. Third is all about weapons and multiple attackers. And by the time we come to the fourth level, it is all about we just jumping on the girl from random places during the day in the school, and the girl has to defend herself. She has to improvise her fight. So, frankly, if you ask me, in case if your children go for taekwondo, karate, and things like that, that's absolutely fantastic because that's into fitness. We are not into fitness. We are into street survival, where if you are wearing a sari, you are confident to take on a perpetrator in case if somebody is about to sexually harass you or try to, harass you in a bus or a pub or a concert or shadi or wherever. Similarly, somebody's written even MMA is good. Yes, mixed martial art is good. What we do is also mixed martial art. But my years of training with the army and having been part of a specialized battalion, we were more into using the enemy's strength rather than our own. And that is where fist came out from. Where you don't, because otherwise what will happen is, being an army officer, I can still fight for 5 minutes. And believe you me, 2 minutes in the boxing ring and you have your tongue and everything out. For us to expect these girls to be fighting like that, that is the reason why we said fist was nothing more than 5 seconds of fighting. Because after 5 seconds, it's the initial shock and awe. And thereafter, the perpetrator's brute force or brute strength will take over. So if there is an art where you can pin down the perpetrator within the first 5 seconds of the fight, push him, and before he can recover as to what happened to him, you're making good your escape. Open the door, run away, shout for help, and things like that. Yeah, shouting for help, you'll be surprised. Go to your school and ask your girls to shout for help. Try this. Nobody will shout for help. Unki awaaz hi nahi nikalti hai. Somebody will start giggling, somebody will start shouting. So we started this thing, okay, any girl who can really shout hard, we'd make a person stand there and say, okay, that is the place. You must go there and stand there. The other person should be able to hear you out. So the voice doesn't even reach there. By the time it reaches that person's this ears, it is basically shrill.
Also, so if I could just express my thought here, I think one of the reasons why girls don't usually shout loudly for help, again, is that the idea is lodged in the psychology, the shame, the hesitation that you said. More than the thought of saving themselves, looking for help for themselves, it's like, oh, what would the people think? What would the people say?
Exactly.
And also the apathy of the people that we experience on a daily basis. That maybe people would not even help me, even if they understand what's going on. And even if I gather the courage to shout for help, people might not come forward and help. So I think these are some.
Yes. In fact, I had to take a whole lecture on bystander intervention. When we talk about the Nirbhaya case, believe you me, what I've read in the police files and all, Nirbhaya was lying there naked for 45 minutes and nobody helped her till the time the waiter got a few sheets from one of the hotels nearby. So in India, we are the people who readily take selfies with an accident victim but not help him because that spoils, the upholstery in my car. We'll always go back to our offices and talk about that accident that you saw, ki kitni chot lagi thi and all that, but we'll never want to help him. So, this is again something, the societal understanding or that civic sense is also something that, is the responsibility of the educators, the teachers, and also, of course, the parents. We didn't really need a prime minister to tell us Swachh Bharat. Didn't we know about cleanliness?
Correct.
So that is exactly what it is. Bystander.
And in addition to the society, like another point which is raised by Miss Nisha, that there is a fear of police case. And another thing which I also noticed when you spoke earlier about how the numbers are being shown as coming down, the number of rapes per day without any logic. Because I have personally encountered this experience where a lady whom I had helped, taking her to the police station, who was suffering, facing domestic violence at the hands of her husband, abusive husband. The police was not interested in lodging the FIR or listening to her. They somehow wanted to dissuade her from filing a complaint. So this is how, apart from all the manipulation that they may be doing in the numbering, this is how they also try to dissuade people who somehow gather courage or with the support of people from lodging a complaint. So the political aspect as well is so important.
Yes, ma'am. That is exactly what happened to us. When I did gather up the courage, everybody, including people who were very close to me, they came and told me, after all, it's your daughter's name and things like that. I managed to skip all of that, and I said, no, I'm going to go ahead with this. Somebody needs to teach this guy a lesson. Otherwise, today he's done it with me, tomorrow he might do it with somebody else. The whole system in our country the whole experience was so harrowing for me, of course, and more so for my daughter. Taking her to court. When I'm so sorry to be using this term called cheel gid, like vultures. People are already judging you. Why is this girl in the court? What is the child doing here? Why is the girl there? Of course, people are even looking like hawkers to, ki ye case mere paas aa jaye. And the first two times I went, in spite of the fact that, being an army officer, I did not really know the rules, that there was a lady who's supposed to escort the child. It's only in the third when people told me that I realized, because initially I had not even hired a lawyer. I thought I'll probably be able to handle things myself. But our system is such that the whole experience becomes so horrifying. The police station, the court, and then visiting the court again. I said, no, somebody had to do it. So yes, victory doesn't come easy. You have to decide to fight. That's the reason we call it mission fight back. You have to decide to fight back. I mean, it's not, don't expect a bed of roses if you've taken up a revolution. If you picked up weapons, you will have to fight. You will have to shoot. Otherwise, somebody comes out and shoots you. So like I said, I can keep going on and on. This is a topic which over a period of time has not just, this becomes the purpose of life. So I can keep talking about it, but I think I should throw open the forum for in case anybody wants to ask questions, and in particular anything about what mission fightback actually does and things like that. So this is it.
So before we ask the participants, I have a question. You spoke about some very doable things and that anybody and everybody can do. One, what I would remember always is look into the eye. And this is what I would suggest to my students and my own child. So looking into the eye of the perpetrator, that's one. The other, we could see some moves and we could understand that if we get trained, then there are simple such moves possible, which would help us immensely. Are there any more such tips which you could quickly tell us?
Yeah, actually,
training, but still, if you could, get a
actually,
think of it.
actually, okay, if it's okay, because I had actually called one of my instructors here today, but as luck would have it, dear old Omicron's taken over. And I wanted actually this thing to be very interactive in the sense, but let me see if I can call my daughter. Vedika or Rashmi, anybody who can just come and help me out right now.
Even Omicron played devil's advocate. See, this is how, in India, everything is so difficult when it comes to learning how to safeguard yourself.
Yeah, okay. So come, at this, I get you introduced to my daughter.
What's her name, sir?
Vedika.
Yeah. Hello, Vedika.
Vedika, they're saying hello. I have the headphones on, sir.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing, Vedika?
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
All good. So we are all teachers here, and we are
Okay.
looking forward to learning some practical, simple moves from you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I need you as a guide.
Yeah.
So it's like somebody trying to grab your hand like this, both hands. Right. I'll bring it here. Normally, what would happen? Anybody?
You would be forced to get up.
No. Okay, I am standing up right now.
No. I was giving an answer to your question.
We would pull.
She would
Okay,
pull. You would
so
be.
if
We'll try to twist.
okay,
Twist.
so when you say pull, I'm trying to pull.
Oh.
It doesn't really help me. See, the idea is a fight not more than 5 seconds, and then the fight should be such that you can take the perpetrator down. So the simplest thing is keep your hand like this, like somebody is holding you like this. Normally, what people do is they try to pull this, and things like that. All you have to do is cup your hand, take it on your fist, and just pull your hand up. Right? It's simple science. 4 fingers here, 4 fingers here, 8 fingers vis-a-vis 2 fingers on top. So what you have to do is, Vedika, just keep it like this, hold it here. So I'll try to bring it here. Now, rather than me trying to pull up here and things like that, all I have to do is cup my hand, bring it up. This comes here. Now, so my hand is now free. My hand is now free, Vedika.
So it actually worked. I requested my husband to
Ask him to hold
this on me, and he acted as my perpetrator, and I could, get my hand.
I'm sure he's decided never to leave your hand, but ask him to hold it like really tight this time, right? Okay. So now what we do is move one, cup my hand, bring it up. Now with this, if you just go here. So what you've basically done is just bend. When I pull this up, all I have to do is bring my elbow up, the person goes down. Ma'am, why don't you try it? Since your husband's right next to you, why don't you try it?
So don't hit him.
Don't hit him hard.
Once again. Please show once again.
Okay. Let me show it once again. Let me see if I can. Yeah. Vedika, come here.
Come closer.
Right. So what have I done? I pulled my hand, and while I'm pulling my hand, I also take it here. That's it. So now I'll hold Vedika's hand. Vedika, pull. Vedika's pulled it, and after the moment she pulls it, this straight away comes here and hits me here. Now, if the child is probably not of that particular height who can reach the top, then the moment the hand has been taken, here.
No, sir, can't see.
No. I'm please concentrate on the legs now.
Okay.
So now I've managed to free my hand. Now, just because probably I do not have the right height, I cannot hit my elbow on the chin. Right? What is it that I can do?
Is it possible to place the camera a little far from you, or if you could move a little far from the camera?
Okay, let me see. You can just pick
Changing the position of the camera.
Okay, can you see me now?
Yes, it's a little better. We were actually, what I was thinking, we should be able to see you both completely.
Okay. Let me show you the next thing. Somebody talked about pulling away.
Yes, sir. I think we will get an idea.
Now, Vedika, go back. If I was pulling Vedika, it'll be very easy for me to keep pulling her because I have certain strength. Right? Now, if Vedika is pulling me, right, no matter how big I am, I'll still be pulled, right? What if I just sit down like this? Just go on your haunches and just leave your body. Right. Right. All you have to do is just squat. Yes. No, just sit on your squat. Just squat and leave your body free. Pulling it would become so much more difficult. Similarly, in case when you talk,
it really works. It says he says that he was not able to pull me once I
exactly. So now Vedika, she's like totally, she's put on at least 9 kgs of sweaters on top. So if I want to lift somebody up, like normally happens in a kidnapping, especially when there's a child involved, it's very easy for me to pick her up. Right? Now, if somebody's trying to pick you up like this, go dead. Just leave your body. I mean, you don't have to do anything. Just let your hand go free, your leg go free, and then try lifting up. Can anybody try it right now? Just let your body go. I mean, just leave it. Ask your husband how difficult was it to pick. I mean, it shouldn't be stiff at all. Can I have your husband telling me the answer?
Yes, it was very difficult.
Right?
Yes.
So these are very...
He's a very strong man. I know how much courage it takes for him to say that it was difficult.
So these are very simple little tricks which you do. And if a child is, being picked up, the moment you let your body go down, pulling that person up becomes very difficult. Right? Where do these things come from? Simple. when we have to pick up a person during commandos and run, a lot of times when we really wanted to screw the happiness of our buddy, we would just let ourselves go free like this, and he's carrying us on his back. So it's like, will you get me a drink in the evening? Otherwise, I'm going to let my body go free. And he said, no, just be stiff, so because I have to run with you on my back. This came from there.
I'm glad that I asked you this question, because now we have got some more such tricks. In fact, what is important is also to remember this at that time, at that moment.
See, this is what Mission Fight Back is all about. Today, if a child or any woman is suddenly faced with a certain problem, right? She just does not know how to react. But let's say you get trained in a school for 10, 14 days. So by the time we come back the next year, or maybe after 6 months, you are practicing this thing. So it becomes an inherent thing. Like even if you have your eyes closed, and remember, children have sixth sense and women have sixth sense. You can assess a threat before it happens. So next time somebody comes to hit you, all you have to do is just block yourself like this. Right? Always, like in a domestic violence case, it's always the first thappad that leads to the second and the third, and so on and so forth. What if the girl was trained and the man
this blocking thing which you spoke about, could you just show a little, or maybe just speak about it once again? I couldn't actually get it.
Let's say that there's a woman who gets slapped for the first time. At the moment the girl gets slapped for the first time, what does she do? She takes it on her face, and that time she's confused. She just does not know what hit her. What happens psychologically is the person hitting whether it's a wife being hit or a child being hit, or whether it's a fight that ensues, it makes you feel powerful. It makes the perpetrator feels powerful. And that is the reason all his anger and all his frustration is vented out on the woman night after night, days after days, for the rest of her life. Now think of a situation where a woman is hit for the first time, or maybe the girl is trained, and the moment she sees something coming, because it's not that he just comes up and slaps her. There has to be an argument. There has to be something ensuing before something like this can happen. And she comes and the woman's being hit, and all she does is she just brings her hand up here. Simple. All you have to do is bring your hand up here. Why like this? That is basically, now this is, I'm saying, in domestic violence, when the man's trying to hit her, all she does is bring up her hand here. Now he tries to hit her again, and she brings her hand here. Like I said, do not lose sight of the eye. And so every time he's trying to hit her, believe you me, 10 seconds is all, or 15 seconds is all that he's going to keep doing that. When he tries to punch, she just moves left and right because she's trained. The first time the woman does this, the second time the man tries to hit her again, she's again doing the same thing. I'm not saying hit you or start hitting the man who's hitting you. I'll come to that later. But the man now knows. See, he loses that thing. The whole idea of him trying to be powerful on the woman is lost. And in the same thing, in case if there was a perpetrator who's hitting you and you just block yourself like this, right? So he comes and hits you, you block yourself here, and then this hand of yours, even if it is very loose, you bring it up like this onto his face or his nose. Try it. So you block yourself like this. Somebody tries to hit you like this, you just block yourself like this, and you bring your hand up like this. Next thing, like make a fist. When you make a fist, this is the way you make a fist, right? A lot of girls do this, or they bring up like this and stuff like this. And remember, you have long nails, right? And you paid a lot of money getting those nails done up, right? So we wouldn't want to spoil that. No, ma'am, you're, see, again, you're doing this. Jaya, ma'am, you're doing this. Your thumbnails, see, when you hit somebody like this, remember, this is what is touching the person. This will bend and break. What I'm saying is, Vandana, sorry, that'll break your thumb. Vandana is doing this, that breaks her thumb. Now, okay, anybody who's done this, please try to put some pressure here. You will feel the pressure here. So now, think if you're...
Is this correct? Is this correct, sir?
This is correct. However, I said make no fist. No matter how strong your husband is, when he punches something like this, this breaks. Or he gets hurt.
Right.
I'm saying when you fight with the strongest part of your hand, which is this.
Okay.
You try to hit like this on the wall, you get hurt.
Yes.
But when you hit this, it doesn't hit. So now,
yeah,
right?
Doesn't.
But when you do this, it hurts. Now,
Correct.
when you get into a fight, no matter how tall or strong, if you're tall, this comes up straight. So it comes here, nose goes back, right? You bring this up. Okay, your hand was like this. You blocked yourself and you just bring it up like this, right? Second, if you're not too tall, this thing comes up here. It goes up. You blocked yourself and you just bring this up. So this is going up. His leg, this thing goes up. What happens? So these are small tricks. This is what needs to be taught, is that you don't need strength. So now think of a child who knows how to fight. Think of a child that in case if there were any psychological cobwebs in the mind, which is now being looked after within those 14 days. Maybe we can solve it in those 14 days. Maybe we know what needs to be addressed in the child. And you as a principal are equipped with the knowledge that this is a problem being faced with the child. Right? So now your counselor knows, now the principal knows, now the parent knows, okay, this is the problem being faced with the child. Then comes cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, it was very important for us to start training that we didn't have cybersecurity as part of our capsule initially, but then there were a couple of schools which suffered problems of this, Instagram and WhatsApp and things like that. And, we were asked to intervene. We did not know anything about it. And then there was this lady called Nisha Dua who was working with Facebook as the cybersecurity head. So we told her to jump in, and now she's a permanent member of Mission Fightback. She came in and she started telling children about it. Like, I mean, even I did not know that every photograph that you take or you put on, this thing has its own unique DNA, like our DNA. It can be traced back to no matter where. So cybersecurity started helping us. We started helping the police with cybersecurity thing. We started helping parents with cybersecurity aspects. And that is the time when we realized, okay, these aspects have to be brought together to make a holistic program. And then, of course, there was the app. But if I talk about the app, that's going to take some more time. So I'll just take on the questions in case if there be any.
So you just mention the name of the app so that people can explore from their end.
Okay, so the app is basically called Mission Fightback app. For lack of a better name that we couldn't find, we thought to call everything the same thing. So what basically this app does is, when we come to schools, we come with everything less the app. And why we don't get this app is because the whole idea of having this app was different. So like when we start training with a particular government, and we are already in advanced stage of conversation with 2 governments. Now, what happens is, think of a situation, let's say, if I talk in terms of Dehradun, my city, it has a population of 10 lakhs. Now, out of this 10 lakh, if the male to female or the sex ratio is 1:1, so that means the 5 lakh women, 5 lakh men, cut the men out, 5 lakh women. Out of these 5 lakh women, I need to train girls from 14 years to 24 years. So I'm looking at the 10-15 year bracket. So that again brings in the number down by another 50% or so. So let's say I have to train 2.5 lakh girls. What if there was an organization training 2.5 lakh girls in 1 year? So you will suddenly have 2.5 lakh girls trained in your city in about a year's time. Now, these 2.5 lakh girls who have been trained, they're not going to be from one area, they're going to be spread all over the city. What if these girls who are 18 years and above want to become your first responders with the government, something like your civil defense, which is your first responders in any crisis? So let's say 1 lakh girls. So now the police has 1 lakh girls, the government has 1 lakh girls who are going to be your first responders, and all these 5 lakh women, right, or the parents have this free downloadable app given from the government side. So tomorrow, in case if there is any problem, like I sit in a place called Kulhan, and there is a girl moving from Kulhan, she goes to a place called Jharkhand, right? And at Jharkhand, she meets with a problem. Maybe she's meeting some friend, or maybe she's gone on a date, or any such thing. And that is the place where she is probably being molested, or maybe there is a rape-like situation. The first thing the perpetrator is going to do is pick up the phone and going to throw it down. Or she cannot reach the phone in time because it's probably in her bag or it's fallen down. What if the software could get activated, or the app could get activated by just shouting, help, 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 ya bachao, bachao, bachao. So what actually happens is, what our app does is, the moment, so whether it's in her hand, something like saying, "Hey Siri," but even if the phone is within the vicinity of her reach, if she shouts for help, even if the phone is locked, the phone gets activated. The app gets activated. The moment the app gets activated, what actually happens is, it sends to my command center, which is the Mission Fightback Command Center, which would be co-opted with the police. It sends us the location of the girl, number one. Number two, it starts sending it gives us access to her mic and her camera. So if the girl is smart enough and she's holding the phone in her hand, and the camera is just moving left, right, so now you get the perpetrator's image. And like I said, 95% of the time the perpetrator knows the girl. So suddenly now we have this guy's image. So we know what this guy looks like. But I do not know who this guy is. So that is the reason why we have access to the mic. Now supposing this girl is shouting, "Rohit uncle," "Rohit bhaiya," "Rohit sir," or just Rohit. So now I know that this image has a name, which is called Rohit. The next call that goes is to the parents and saying, "Who's Rohit?" And they say, "Oh, he's a neighbor." So the calls will start going to Rohit on his phone. While all these things are happening in real time, the moment we've got an alert, immediately the first thing that the team does, it informs the police, says, "Oh, we've got an alert." Right? Now, before the police can react, and remember, your police to population ratio is one of the worst in the world. Right? They're not trained for this thing, and most of the time they'll be doing VIP duties. Right? So what if you had these first responders on ground? Now remember, this girl has moved from Kulhan, she's gone to Jharkhand. And at Jharkhand, we had 50 out of this 1 lakh, there were 50 girls staying in and around. And immediately the call goes to all of them saying, "This is the location, reach there." And the girl is, let's say, called Anita. Oh, there's no Anita here right now. Right? So it just says Anita, random name. Now 50 women, like Ola and Uber, which is the nearest one that comes to you, 50 women reach there. Now, if Vandana was there, I'm sure Vandana's husband's not going to send her alone. Right? Or if Kusum Bishji was there, I'm sure, her son is not going to send her alone. Or Nisha Mishra, or anybody. So the whole idea was to have a citizens movement to come out to save girls. So that is where technology came in. We wanted to involve citizens because for far too long we've been dependent.
So with changing times, the women are moving out alone, and they must. Why should any situation prevent them from thinking of, going alone somewhere? It may be required for them. No, I understand what you're trying to say. I'm saying all the women here, all of us also have to do it, and we have to also make our family understand, whether it is our sons, it is our husbands, brothers, that we will have to go out sometimes alone, and it is important, it is necessary, and hence having such an app and such a team of respondents prepared in every city, it would be an incredible thing to do.
Exactly, like I said, now if you are a first respondent with Mission Fight Back or with the government's program, and your husband understand that you have a certain responsibility towards that victim or towards the society, there would be certain sense of responsibility coming in him. He says, "I'm not going to," it's not about, this thing. He said, "I'll come along." So the idea is, even if there were 5 women and they can get 3 people, 4 people, that multiplies into, that's the reason why it's called the citizens movement. Suddenly you'll have 50 people just gathering. And even if you're just shouting Anita or you're shouting Rohit for that matter, this is what a deterrence is going to be.
Right. So the respondents actually multiply.
The respondents actually multiply.
Their family joins, their friends join.
Yeah. So the whole idea was, today we have nearly 500 rapes happening in the country on a daily basis. Even if we can stop 1% or less than that, right? I keep telling everybody, we are only trying to better our karmas, and that is what it is. If this is the least that I can do, and a movement has to start taking place. A revolution has to start from here. So that is the reason why Mission Fight Back is a thing which is ever evolving. I mean, we don't have the answers for everything. We started with just the FIST program, then the psychological thing came in, then the cybersecurity came in, and then we ended up making an app. Maybe tomorrow there would be something else. So the whole idea is that everybody gets together and starts, contributing towards women's safety. That's that.
So this is so impressive this seems like, something that I'm hearing for the first time. This app, which has so many such features, and having women as respondents after being trained, this is really something which is need of the hour. And I totally agree with you that this all has to start from the school level. The teachers, parents, everyone has to join hands and ensure that it takes much more than just the physical strength, and we can prepare the children for it.
Absolutely.
Do we have any questions from our participants? Any thoughts, questions? Any thoughts are also welcome.
Namaste, ma'am. This is Divya.
Namaste, Divya.
Ma'am, yeah, this is one question which is haunting me since I came from Goa last. We went for a Christmas celebration there, and the day when we were like next day we were supposed to leave the city. The night when we're coming out from the pub, we got one girl, a small 10-12-year-old girl. She was holding all the bangles, the light bangles, and she just came running to my husband and just gave entire bangle to him and said, "Aap le lo aur jao jao." So we got so much like that. What happened exactly? So I ran to her and just said, "What happened, Dad, beta? You can tell me. आप मुझे मुझ पे विश्वास करो. आप बताओ क्या हुआ?" And I just gave her 500 rupees and said, "बेटा आप बताओ क्या है और ये बैंगल मिल जाओ कल आप बेच लेना पैसे की बात है तो आप पैसे लेके जाओ." And we gave her 500. Said कि नहीं आप यहाँ से जाओ वो जो अंकल है वो मुझे मारेगा वो मुझे मारता है मारेगा. And I said कौन. Then she just quickly she ran away. There was cops standing there and no one responded to her, and it was like whom to talk to. And that night was very terrible for me because I was unable to help a small girl younger than my daughter. So that is something which is haunting me again and again. What should we do for such kind of, because it's a new city for you, new state, you cannot be there for long for all these kind of police thing happening. Even you don't know whether the police cops are there who are involved in this kind of racket. So is there anything which can help such kind of trafficking of the child, young girls? Because that was something which made me very sad. And the last bitter thought I took from Goa was this, and it's still haunting in my head. What can we do for that kind of?
Ma'am, see, when you see cases like these, firstly, don't forget these cases. Now, I'll tell you, a lot of time during domestic violence, what actually happens is you have to live with that man. So a lot of time when I have personally intervened in my own society, and I think Vandana and me, we had discussed a few cases a year or two back. And then a lot of cases this came up in Bangalore. There were a lot of organizations there is one lady who's had a experience something like yours, and she came out and she started something known as the Red Dot Initiative, which basically meant any woman going through any kind of a domestic violence who cannot come out and talk about it. In Bangalore, what they started doing, they started putting a red bindi here. So any milkman or anybody coming, all she would do this, show a red bindi. And they did manage to say more than 100 ladies. So the domestic violence probably would be in thousands, and especially during the lockdown. But they managed to make a little bit of a ripple in the ocean, which itself was a big thing. When you see something like that, don't worry what the police is going to say. Hold your ground. Hold your ground in the sense, but one of the thought that comes to my mind is this girl will have to go back to the same people.
Yes, that's what the major concern I was, mom, that time, because there were lots of people, but we don't know who is looking at her, who is going to hit her, who is going to molest her. So we were like, should we say, should I not say? It was in two mindset, and I'm going to just walk down because you cannot help everyone, entire world for such kind of, but it was something which was inside me, and if I could do something for
I don't know. The only thing that I'm reminded of is a poem by Robert Frost. Take the road nobody's taken.
yeah, yeah, because
Don't listen
because
to
there were at least 5.
But
cops
ma'am
were
has
there.
very genuine concerns here, and I can totally relate to what you're saying. Everything that you're saying,
See,
that you are in so many dilemmas, and even if you take the step, the other question which haunts you is, though at that moment you probably saved the child by speaking to some people, later how she is going to be treated, how she has to pay the price for the courage that
That's
you have shown at that moment. You are not sure about it.
And that's why he said that you don't know, and you don't know where she will be landing up. You cannot take her with your, so we cannot assure her safety. So just live it. If you can do further in your life, you will come back again and do such thing. But at present we also don't know. It was the first experience in my life. It was the first thing. I was just
I
walking
think
through and
that is where these kind of interactions, awareness, people coming together will help. Maybe it's just a few people talking today, but when we continue doing it and it becomes a movement,
yeah,
becomes a
because
movement,
it's a
people want
fraction of
to fight.
minute, 1 or 2
I
minutes, she
think
interacted and went away. So
Yeah,
in my hand.
so there are a lot of NGOs working for it. Like I said, we don't really have the a lot of answers to a lot of things. Like I probably myself, I'll not be a hero. I myself do not know how I would have reacted to this situation, because the first thing that would have come to my mind is what is going to happen to the child. Like you said, you cannot take the child home. What if the police is involved? But I think it's always better to hold ground, and then if you do have time, get the child over. There would be NGOs in the area or in every city, in every this thing, who would be helping these kind of children. There are a lot of NGOs that I've interacted with who've actually gone inside these red light areas, the brothels, and got children out. And they face threat every day. But they're doing their work. So, like I said, but
So I'll be connected to a few of them, and I can go back again in search of.
absolutely.
And there is a reason why I believe there is a reason why we encounter every such incident. It's a part of our destiny. We are meant to make that difference. That incident has stayed in your mind because now you're going to take an action. Like today, you said you'll connect with some NGOs, some people, and we'll ensure.
A reason why I told you now, because there was no reason earlier to talk about it, but this was something which we are concerned toward those
I'm
child.
glad that Aadharshila talk really was so productive, because we all got into this thinking state, and we all would now find ways of bringing that change. And all the credit goes to our speaker today, Colonel Sir. You were just so fantastic. It's all because of the passion you have for this mission, passion you have towards the safety of the girls, of the women, and in general making the society better and the world at large better.
Thank you so much.
Namaste, ma'am. Namaste, sir. I just want to add something from little I know. So there are two NGOs who works on similar lines. One is Safe City, which is very popular, and there is another by the same guy. It's called Pin the Creep. If you want, you can look them up. There are a lot of spots across India and elsewhere as well. I know the founder, Elsie, is a friend of mine. So in case if there are any instances where you want to have a conversation about specific incidents that you came across, like how Divya ma'am shared, these are the two prominent ones who I can vouch for because I've worked with them. There is one called Rakshin Project, started by Smita Bharti, who's a national award winner as well. So these are the projects which can really give you a lot of heads up, a lot of ideas if you just look it up on their website as well. Thank you.
Pushpit, would you type, please? Would you type this in the chat box?
Thank you, Pushpinder sir. I will be connecting you again later on to get all the details, and we'll definitely going to work, because this is something which is always haunting me, that I was unable to save that girl.
See, it's a learning experience for me also. Thank you, Pushpinder. I've just typed Pin the Creep to my wife as well, so that I remember what was the other one.
Yeah, so he's typed one, Safe City, and the other is Pin the Creep. I like the name.
Yeah.
You mentioned another one more, Pushpendra. Meanwhile, any other thoughts, any other questions?
I'd like to take this opportunity and talk again about why I wanted Colonel Rohit Mishra to be part of this. I think 3 years back is when I connected with him first, and after the very first talk that I had with him, I wanted him to come down and conduct the same, mission fight back, sessions, workshops for our children in school. It didn't work out at that time, and then the lockdown happened. But I do hope that now that we have heard his talk, and now that we know you, ma'am, you know what he's doing, and the rest of the educators and the management of school know what he's doing. I do hope that once the lockdown ends and everything settles, we can bring him over and we can conduct a workshop for our children, because this is something that all our children, all the women, and all our educators, since we have something called as foster parents in school and buddies in school, I think each person, if one person can teach the other one, and this batch can teach the next batch, and so on, I think we'll be churning out a bunch of students who are academically proficient, who are self-confident, and who are also capable of saving themselves or those around them when the need arises. So I'm so glad that this worked out and we could do this talk. So thank you, Colonel, for always indulging me like this. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Vandana. You're doing a fantastic job.
As you had recommended Sir's session, we are very soon hoping that the school begins physically and we can host Sir for such enlightening sessions for our students. But as of now, I think Aadharshila Talks also provided that platform to bring the educators together, the parents together, and some of the students also were with us to start thinking on these lines. And first of all, prepare our minds for it. Like Sir said, it first starts in the mind. Your fighting back is all about how you make up your mind. So I first extend my thanks to Ms. Vandana Joshil, one of our Aadharshila speakers, who has recommended Col Rohit Mishra Sir for today's talk. And thank you, Sir, for being the 81st Aadharshila for Ramratna International School. We look forward to more and more association and guidance and mentorship from your end. It was a truly enlightening and eye-opening session. Thank you so much for this talk, sir.
Thank you so much, Aadharshila. Thank you so much, ma'am, for having me over.
It's a little thank you video.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of the entire Ramratna International School family, this is Dr. Jaya Parekh, the principal of Ramratna International School, extending warmest regards and gratitude.
Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. And our regards for you being a soldier. And I couldn't meet you on 15th, but then it's just 2 days back that we all celebrated National Army Day. Thanks to you, thanks to all the officers, all the soldiers who are serving the mother nation so selflessly. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you and your fraternity, sir. Thank you. We are proud.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vandana ji, once again. Thanks to all my dear friends. Thanks to all the participants. See you soon. Take care of yourself and have a great evening ahead. Thank you, Vandana. So glad to see you in our talks every week.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Vandana.